we need to talk about a story well, it's just incredibly difficult. It's one that shook a small community to its absolute core. We're going through it to understand what happened and really to honor the memory of a little girl whose life was just tragically cut short. This is the story of Kimberly Sabillón. To really understand the heartbreak here, you have to understand what was lost. We're going to start with one of the last memories her community has of her, a moment of pure, innocent childhood. This poem, it's like a window into the bright, hopeful little spirit that was stolen from her family. So before this horrible tragedy, Kimberly was a bright light in her small Honduran community of El Paraíso. And to really get the depth of this loss, we first need to understand the life she was living. Kimberly was just 6 years old. She was in the first grade, living with her grandparents. And when you hear people talk about her, her family, her neighbors, they all say the same thing. They remember this intelligent, respectful, and just joyful little girl. Her uncle described her simply as an angel from God. She was the kind of kid that everyone in the village knew and absolutely loved. And this image has become completely linked to her story. There's a video that went around showing Kimberly at her school, barefoot, just confidently reciting a poem for her teachers and her friends. It's such a poignant snapshot of this vibrant life and a future that was really just beginning. So let's go to the days she disappeared. It was Monday, November 24th, 2025, and it started out just like any other day. It all began with a simple errand. You know, the kind of task a 6-year-old in a really close-knit town would do without anyone thinking twice. That morning, her grandmother wasn't feeling well, so she sent Kimberly to a nearby store, a place that wasn't even half a block away, just to buy some milkshakes. But she never came back. By the afternoon, you can imagine panic started to set in. The family and all the neighbors organized a search. They were making posters, they were combing through nearby fields and ravines. But as night fell, their absolute worst fears were realized. Her small body was found in a ditch, just devastatingly close to her own home. That discovery sent a wave of shock and just profound grief through the entire village. What started as a desperate search for a missing child, it ended in a scene of just unimaginable horror. This quote from her grandfather, it gives you such a devastating glimpse into his grief. He was so overwhelmed with disbelief that his first thought actually turned to local folklore, to the duende, which is like a mischievous spirit. He was searching everywhere he thought a spirit might have taken her, only to be confronted with a reality that was so much more monstrous than any myth. Because the truth was just brutal. The community soon learned that Kimberly had been viciously attacked. Her body showed signs of a violent assault and wounds from a machete. This wasn't some tragic accident. It was an act of profound violence that completely shattered that town's sense of safety. So, as the community is just reeling, the police investigation quickly zeroes in on a suspect. And it's a man who wasn't a longtime resident, somebody who was known in the community, but, well, not for the right reasons.
Police arrested a man named Jonathan Reyes. He was identified as an ex-military member who had only recently moved to the village. And according to residents and Kimberly's own family, he had a reputation for frequent drug and alcohol abuse and was known for being violent.
But here's the detail that is it's absolutely chilling. Multiple sources, including her uncle, reported that Reyes actually joined the search party. He walked alongside the frantic family and neighbors, pretending to look for the very girl he had allegedly killed. And then he just vanished as the search started getting closer to where her body was found. You can imagine, right? The initial shock and the grief. It quickly hardened into this powerful, unified demand for justice. This wasn't just one family's tragedy. The entire village of El Paraíso felt this loss as if it was their own. And the contrast in these two scenes is it's heartbreaking. On one hand, you have her father and his solitary grief just waiting silently on a stone outside the morgue for his daughter's body. And then back home, you have the entire town coming together, holding white, purple, and blue balloons to receive her small coffin, a symbol of their collective mourning and their solidarity. It was Kimberly's uncle, Noé Guardado, who really voiced the plea of the entire community. He made it really clear that they weren't seeking vengeance, but they were demanding that the justice system work. They want the person responsible to face the absolute full weight of the law. And in the midst of their own unbearable pain, the family shared a warning that was born from their tragedy. It's a simple but urgent message to all parents, everywhere. Just be vigilant.
In a world where something this awful can happen, they urged everyone to hold their children close and protect them.
So the arrest of a suspect, that's a step towards some kind of legal closure, sure. But it doesn't just erase the trauma. This event leaves a permanent scar on the community of El Paraíso, and it leaves us with a really difficult question. For a place that's built on trust and neighborly connection, how do you even begin to recover from a wound this deep?